if you being an electrical engineer and you want to see what are the magnetic materials that you see around you. So it could be, so in most of any devices that you are using in your daily life, so they have some kind of magnetic material, some magnetic component in that. So I gave this example of a laptop. So, and then being curious enough, so if you open your laptop and then actually literally open it, so not like switching it on, but actually you break it open. So you see a lot of hardwares, right? So you also see your processor, which is basically like a chip or an IC device, which is basically nothing but made up of some semiconductors, doped semiconductors with some metallic contacts and so on. So I think in being electrical engineers, you will have some courses in next semester or maybe next year on this chip design and IC design and so on. So that is corresponding to the electronic part. But there is another part, which is this magnetic hard disk. Yeah, so this is like just a question posed to you. So one magnetic material, one part is your magnetic hard disk. This is how basically it looks like. Okay, so unfortunately we cannot do a live demo of that, but if you have a broken or unused hard disk drive, so you can open and you can see how it looks like, and this is how it looks like, right? So I use the laser pointer here. So now you see this is basically your disk where your information is stored, and this is nothing but some magnetic materials. These are called thin film magnetic materials. And this here, so you can see the laser pointer, right? On the screen, you can see the laser pointer. Someone can say yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes? Okay. So when you speak a little louder. So sometimes it's, or maybe I can increase that. Okay. So here, so this part, so this circular disk part is basically your where you store your memory, right? And this long arm is actually, it's an arm known as a read head and write head. So basically you have to read and write the information what you want to store or you want to save. So here this tiny part on the front really that carries your read and write head. So we will discuss about it maybe after a few lectures when we discuss about magnetic hard disk drive in detail. So this is also like a part of also like a magnet. Okay, so this is also magnetic material that is being used here in how you read, how you write the information, and how you store the information. So all is based on magnetic materials. Of course, the mechanism is, I mean, you need electrical connections and so on to read and write as well. But the basic materials that are used are actually magnetic. Okay. So this is just like a schematic, what you see here on the left-hand side. So this is when you look closely to your disk, the surface of your disk. So this is how it looks like. Okay, so this is your surface of the disk. And these are like, typically they're called domains, right? So you have, might have heard of magnetic domains. If you have done this experiment of how you can plot magnetic hysteresis, right? In your physics course, in basic physics lab, you would have done that. So this is basically your domains. So domains pointing up or pointing down. So basically you write it like in computer Language, you write it in binary code, so 1001 and so on. And this is what basically it means, 1001, so on. This top layer is magnetic, and then this whole part is your read and write head. So the head that carries some material which can read this information, and also this contains the part which can write the information. So writing means you basically have to switch from up to down. So you have to change 1 to 0 or 0 to 1. So like you can flip that. So that is basically your writing. That is what this part here is done. So it is basically nothing but an electromagnet. Okay. So you apply certain magnetic field, and then you can switch on and off, and you can switch. So you can reverse the domain. Okay. And then this red part, what you see here, is called a read head. So this is a special sensor called a GMR, or nowadays people use a TMR sensor. So we will talk about that when we discuss about this magnetic recording medium. Okay. And on the right side, what you see is actually a microscopic image. So there are ways you can actually image these domains. So this is one way of, so look at this dark and bright spots. So these are basically your, so you can say the dark spots are maybe domains which are pointing down, and the bright spots are domains which are pointing up. Okay, so you are looking at the plate from the top, and look at the size. Okay, so this, what is the size of this domain? So here this scale is 200 nanometer. Okay, so this scale bar, what I have put here is about 200 nanometer. So these domains are, so some domains are actually so 20 nanometer, some domain would be around 50 or 100 nanometer. So there is a variation in the domain, the size of the domains. And this is a material, it's called a cobalt chromium platinum alloy. So you know cobalt is magnetic, but you do not know if chromium or platinum is magnetic. But if you alloy them, you mix them, so you get an alloy which is still magnetic, and this is actually used in your magnetic hard disk. This is the material, cobalt, chromium, and platinum. And this is a typical hard disk on your system. If you look at it, this is how it would look like. Okay. So this image is taken by a microscope called magnetic force microscope. So we'll not go into the detail. I just want to inform those who are interested. You can look it up. So how do we achieve this kind of technology, right? So of course there is a lot of, it is not like only one engineering application. So magnetism is actually, or this magnetic hard disk represents a technology which incorporates or uses all kinds of ideas from different engineering background. So one part is, of course, the engineers who develop the materials, the best material which needs to be used. So that is one thing. And of course, there are many more who think about how you can read, you can write, how you can move. So movement of this disk is basically, it's a mechanical movement. So you need background in mechanical engineering, you need electrical engineers, you need metallurgists, material scientists. So it's a effort of a big team which achieved this kind of technology. So which now you can put in your laptop and store like terabytes of memory easily. So this point, I'm making this point here because this is all about like a team effort which needs to be invested to get or develop such a technology. And So one part here, which often people miss, is how important is the magnetic material that is used in this development. So there is a lot of development that happened over many years, many decades, that led to industries to use this kind of materials. So then another example which is quite well known to you guys is this electric motor, right? So you have, it could be a DC motor or AC motor, does not matter. So, and the motor is basically you want to convert your mechanical or electrical energy to mechanical energy. And here again, you use magnetic materials. So your stator, which is basically, it could be electromagnet, or it could be also a permanent magnet. So probably those who want to go into motor design and so on, they will read more about it. But here so here also in motors, so this is one important component, and development of different materials actually led to more efficient motors. So why materials are important? So you need to know basically your motor efficiency and its performance, its longevity, and so on. So, and that depends on what kind of materials one takes. Of course, another point is how expensive it is, and so on. Okay, so the price. So this is like a list of applications which you would know or you might not. So maybe some are new or some are you already know. But many of these applications actually use magnetic materials. Okay. So if you have any questions in between, so you can just switch on your mic and you can ask questions. So sometimes I don't see the chat box, so I might miss it. So if you have any questions or anything, okay. So some of these applications you will probably learn in more detail in future. And if you want to, for example, motors and generators are like one of the key part or core part in your electrical engineering course. And also, so these magnetic materials are also used in a lot of the sensors nowadays, the magnetic sensors that exist. And these sensors you might use, and those who want to specialize in IoT and sensors in future, so which is offered from electrical engineering department, so they will use some of these magnetic sensors in the future. So in that sense, you should know more about this magnetic materials and how different magnetic materials affect the sensitivity of the of your device. Okay, so when you look actually on a fundamental level, so when you look at applications of magnetic materials, you can actually branch it into two broad categories. So I am mentioning it is quite broad, but I mean, recently the applications are much more. But broadly, you can define as based on these two applications. So how to produce a magnetic field? So that means you take a material. So it could be electromagnet or a permanent magnet, which is going to produce a magnetic field. So how much field you require? So it should be able to generate that. So you design your material in such a way that can produce as much magnetic field as you want or need without compromising on any performance, consuming less power, and so on. And then other application mostly is how a magnetic material reacts to certain external perturbation or external sources, right? So external thing is like how it responds to temperature, how it responds to pressure, or even how it responds to magnetic field or electric field. So what happens, what changes that happens to a magnetic material. So that actually, in that way, you can use it for many more applications, right? So this is like a broad division. So here, basically here we are talking about magnets. So your dipole, like your bar magnet, for example, or a solenoid, or an electromagnet, or a Helmholtz coil, right? So there are many different ways you can produce. And on this part here, we are talking about this magnetic hard drives, or how to read and write magnetic information, or magnetic sensors. Basically your sensors will I mean, they react to how the pressure changes, how the temperature changes, and that way you can it can measure these things, and even you can also see how the magnetic field changes, and so on. So this is a broad division. So as I already told you, so if you want to have you want to produce a magnetic field, so you use magnets. So it could be an electromagnet or a permanent magnet. And so there is like a big difference definitely between your electromagnet and permanent magnet, right? So in electromagnet, you can switch on or off your field. So when you switch on the electricity, so you can switch on the magnet, or you can have magnetic field. And when you switch off, so then your magnetic field is off. But if you take a permanent magnet, so in permanent magnet you will have, so it is always on basically, right? So you'll have magnetic field always. So you do not have any on and off switch for a permanent magnet. So that is a basic difference. Yeah, so one thing I put it here, this unit conversion in magnetism. So magnetism, you have a lot of units. So you have SI unit, you have CGS unit, so you have a lot of these parameters. So magnetic flux density or induction B, magnetic flux, then magnetization H, polarization. So you will hear many of these terms depending on who is explaining the things to you. So electrical engineers might use this magnetic polarization J, like those who are working in electromagnets or permanent magnets. So what is J, what is B, and physicists, they work like talk about M, magnetization M, or sigma, this mass magnetization, or maybe susceptibility. But again, electrical engineers will talk about permeability, right? So these are different terms which are used in magnetism, and they have different units. And this is a table which is always handy to keep with you. So if you are working with magnetic materials, so that you can do a conversion between a Gaussian or CGS unit to SI unit. So still people are actually using the CGS unit. And why I'm saying it, so look, the conversion factors are not just straightforward, okay? So not just like some linear terms you can add or you can multiply and you go to SI unit. So there are some complicated factors, 4 pi, always involved. So therefore you have to be careful when you convert. So whenever in exams questions come, so you have to be careful about what is the unit that is being asked. And it is always good to have this table always with you. So I always keep this table with me still, and I use it. Okay, so you can do that. So what is the first magnet? It's already 54. Okay. So what is the first magnet that is known to us, to humankind? So that was actually something known as magnetite nowadays. It is the chemical formula is iron 3O4, which is actually known as lodestone. And it was believed that it is magnetized due to when a lightning strike this lodestone, this magnetite, so it became magnetic, and then people found out that it is attracting iron and so on. and that is how it was believed to be found. So it is like few thousand years ago when the first magnet was found. So many ancient civilizations, they knew about these magnets, this lodestone basically, and Sumers, ancient Greeks, Chinese, and Native American tribes, they used even magnets. And what are the first use? Basically, the first use was compass, right? So this is the first use, this needle compass. The first, this is called a south pointer. So they put a spoon made up of this lodestone, and then it points along the south direction. So they could say which direction is south in China. They used it like in 2000 years ago. So, and then later on in the 20th century, they used, or let's say that is in 19th century. No, this is in 1088. Yeah, so really like 500 years ago, or 10, 5,000 years ago. So the first magnetic needle compass was used for the navigation purpose. Okay, so this is like a timeline of use of magnetism. So this table, like how at different periods magnetic materials are being used, and you can see how the use of magnetic materials exploded in after 1950s actually. So until 1930, 1950s, only few magnetic materials were known: iron, lodestone, or steel. But after 1950s, there are many magnetic materials which were invented, and they are used in many devices and applications. So I will stop right now because it's already 1:57.